Alright, what's going on everybody? Welcome back to another video here on the channel, and today, man, we're going to be talking about apparently some new craze going on TikTok. I use that word very lightly, I'll explain why here in a minute, but apparently there's something going around now called the chroming challenge, and this is now a situation that has led to what appears to be its first fatality, as an 11-year-old boy in the United Kingdom apparently passed away after trying this TikTok chroming challenge or whatever at a sleepover. And obviously TikTok's been in the news a lot recently. They just the whole House of Representatives passed a bill that would possibly ban TikTok in the United States. That's still currently being worked out. I might do a video about that tomorrow, but like I said, this is apparently some sort of viral craze is what this is being made out to be by like the New York Post and a few other outlets I've seen covering this. And I just want to say before we really jump into this, I don't really know or think that this is a challenge. Like, I don't know, man. I remember back when I was a kid and they had shit like the cinnamon challenge and whatever, or the ice bucket challenge, those kinds of things, right? They were everywhere. Like, you saw everybody doing them. Everybody was posting videos of themselves either doing that shit or reacting to it. And then now it just kind of seems like once or twice a year, a new quote-unquote challenge or viral sensation pops up on TikTok and we see somebody just like get really fucking hurt or like kill themselves doing it. And honestly, I think we gotta really start phrasing this shit better, because like this whole idea of calling it the chroming challenge and whatnot, it really makes it seem like this is the new hot hip trend that all the kids are doing. And I really don't think that's the case. If anything, I think this might just be a more obscure kind of reserved off to the side thing that's happening on TikTok. Like, I don't know, maybe a few hundred people have done it. I don't know. I feel like the media kind of talks about these things from a completely different lens than normal people online do. Like, it just doesn't make sense, I feel like, to make this out to be some sort of viral craze. And I don't know. I haven't seen it. I haven't heard of it before this, but an 11-year-old boy from the United Kingdom has died after huffing toxic chemicals in a social media challenge known as chroming, and his devastated family wants the social media company shut down and all others barred from children under 16. Tommy Lee Gracie Billington, 11, suffered a suspected cardiac arrest at a friend's house in Lancaster on Saturday, according to the Times of London. He was rushed to a nearby hospital just where he died. Quote, he died instantly after a sleepover at a friend's house. The boys had tried the TikTok craze chroming, said the boy's grandmother, Tina Burns. Like I said, I don't know if this is some sort of TikTok craze. If it is, man, I just must not be on the same algorithm or whatever that people are getting this shit on, because I don't see any of these challenges or these crazes that pop up ever. Like, I don't think I've seen one of them in years. And like I said, it seems like once or twice a year I make a video talking about the new one where some kid dies. And this one's pretty sad. Like, obviously it's an 11-year-old boy. A lot of people online have been like clowning the shit out of the kid low-key. You know, oh, this is Darwinism. Bozo watch, pack watch, shit like that. Basically like making fun of this kid for dying in such a, I guess, humiliating or embarrassing way. And man, I don't know, that's not for me. Like, I would get it, I guess, if this was like a fucking 35-year-old dude who's like obviously old enough to know better and know what he's like supposed to do and not do. But ultimately, this is an 11-year-old kid at the end of the day, right? I don't think they make the best decisions. They don't have the best judgment. Like, yeah, sure, at age 11, I was playing Pokemon and shit with my friends. We weren't, I guess, huffing chromium or whatever. Whatever happened here, right? Like, that shit wasn't going down, but Tommy Lee went into cardiac arrest immediately and died right there and then. The hospital did everything to try and bring him back out, but nothing worked. He was gone. He had a heart of gold, just like his dad. Our family is utterly devastated, she added. Apparently, this involves inhaling the fumes from common household items like aerosol cans, nail polish remover, paint solvents, and cleaning products to get high, while teens film the process and results to post online. The practice can cause serious brain damage, suffocation, cardiac arrests, and more with just one huff. The trend has led to numerous teen deaths around the world and has spiked in popularity from the prevalence of chroming videos on social media. Tommy Lee's family thinks the social media platform needs to, quote, do more to keep users safe and should even be shut down to prevent other kids from dying. Quote, both of our families are utterly devastated, but we all want the same thing, Burns said, referring to the family of Tommy Lee's friend. So, I don't know, this is claiming that multiple people around the world have died from it. Like I said, dude, I don't see this shit ever on TikTok. I'm never apparently involved in any of this, so like just hearing this shit comes completely out of left field to me. But these people seem to think that, like, I guess the answer to solving this is to shut down TikTok and prevent kids from being on social media and stuff like that. Now, honestly, I agree with a good portion of their message. Like, yeah, I don't think most kids should really be on social media. Most kids probably shouldn't be watching TikTok. They shouldn't be consuming the shit that happens on there. But ultimately, this just really feels to me like we're blaming the wrong thing here, because this claims that this happened at a sleepover, right? So when I hear that, I think like, you know, 3 or 4 dudes who are friends at school or whatever are like, fuck it, let's all go hang out over at Billy's house for the night. We'll eat some pizza and play video games. Like, at least that's what sleepovers were back when I was a kid. You know what I mean? I don't know what the fucking TikTok generation's doing now, but apparently they're huffing fucking cans of shit to get stoned or whatever and killing themselves for TikTok videos. But like, so at that point, right, I'm assuming that this group of children that were doing this shit were under somebody's supervision, right? Like someone's parents, grandparents, whatever, right? Obviously, there should have been some adults in the house, right? So that leads me to have several questions. Number one, how come throughout all of this, right, we're not hearing anything about how the people responsible for looking after these kids and keeping them safe failed at their job of doing that? Why haven't we heard about, you know, any of the other kids, what happened to them, right? Like, I don't know if any other kids got any side effects or any health effects, right? It seems like there's something being left out of this story to me, right? And I'm not saying it like about the kid or whatever, like they're covering it up, but we're blaming TikTok and we're blaming social media for an issue that would have been instantly mitigated if whoever was responsible for these kids were doing a better job of paying attention. Like, I don't know, you didn't think it was fucking suspicious that the group of like 4th graders or middle schoolers or whatever, right, were like walking out to the garage in a group snickering with a bunch of cans of fucking like spray paint, you know? Like that obviously could not have ended out well. There was something going on and these people should have been paying more attention. Like, if you're going to have all these kids in the neighborhood or whatever stay at your house, you are now basically assuming responsibility for all of those kids. And we hear nothing about that. We never hear about how they obtained this shit, you know, what happened with that, right? Like, how did they even get this stuff? Because most of these things, I assume, right, like children just can't go in the store and buy. Like, you know, I don't think kids can just go and buy aerosol cans down at the corner store and people are gonna be like, hey, that makes sense. These 14-year-old kids need floor polish or whatever, right? Like, I don't know. I don't see that happening. So realistically, like I said, this is an issue that if people were just paying more attention, like shit like this could be easily preventable. And I'm not saying obviously you can watch your kids 100% of the time. You can always know what they're doing, making sure they're not doing something stupid or bad or whatever. But I just have to assume that the absolute least amount of attention was being shown to these kids because one is dead. And like they're saying, oh, we want people who are under 16 to not be allowed on social media. And it's like, well, that's already possible. I mean, you can already decide right now, if you want to, that your kids are not allowed to use TikTok or they're not allowed to use YouTube or Facebook or Snapchat or Instagram or fucking WhatsApp, whatever, right? Like, you can make that decision today. And you hear, oh, but I can't control what my kids do when I'm not around. Dude, if you pay for the fucking phone that they're using, which 99.9% of parents are, then you can decide what's going on, either by A, not letting them have the fucking thing if they can't listen to you, or B, putting parental controls on it. They literally make parental controls for all of these things. So, like, you hear people always saying that, like, oh, well, it's ruining my kids. I need to get my kids off social media. It's like, okay, well, then get your kids off social media. Like, ultimately, you are the fucking parent. You're the person in control. So then be the person in the driver's seat and be in control. Prevent your kids from using this. And like I said, I agree. I think that most kids should not be on these things because the shit that gets promoted on there and the content that's constantly filtered to them on there, for the most part, is stuff they should not be consuming, okay? I think it does make kids mostly worse off when they're consuming this kind of shit. But ultimately, this is a solution that is is just not enforceable. I'm sorry. Like, you're never going to stop people from getting on TikTok. Like, like I said, they're talking about it right now. The House of Representatives, they just passed a bill that says that the people who have TikTok have to basically sell it to a US company or they will be banned. And this is even something that they've been trying to do for like 4 or almost 5 years now. And of course, it hasn't successfully been done. 2 different presidential administrations now have basically worked this same issue, and we're about to go into a third one. And yeah, it hasn't been solved. I personally don't think TikTok or any social media will really ever be banned by the government. Now, of course, this is also happening over in the United Kingdom. This is a completely different, I guess, situation because they're not currently going through the political issue of whether or not TikTok is bad for their kids. But that's precisely the thing, right? Like, parents are trying to pretend like they have no solution. Like, oh, we can't even do anything. Like, my kids will just, they're always going to be on there. Like, I don't know, my parents prevented me from using shit that I wasn't supposed to use, you know? If my parents didn't want me using a certain website, they would just put it on the search filters and you couldn't go on it on the computer, right? And we had one family computer for most of the time that I was a kid. So that meant, guess what, motherfucker? You're not using that. So, but they act like this stuff isn't solvable or like parents can't get more involved in what their kids are doing. Your kids' search history and like history and all these things are available on the app. Like, check in with your kids. Make sure they're not doing bad shit, right? Like, I totally understand that. Be the parent. I get that. But I just don't see this as being the catalyst that's going to push this whole issue forward, right? And ultimately, like, what is TikTok or YouTube or whatever going to do? I mean, like on YouTube, for instance, there's just so much content constantly uploaded to the platform. It is virtually impossible for it to just be 100% bulletproof. Like, the sad reality about having the internet and social media is that sometimes shit that should not be posted is going to get posted. You're going to have people doing stupid shit like the chroming challenge and whatever. And it's stupid, and obviously most people would think, yeah, that probably shouldn't be on there, but when there's 3 billion videos or whatever getting uploaded a day, like, how the fuck is anyone supposed to stop that 100%? It's never been done before. It's probably never going to happen in the first place. It seems like more of a like fantasy land kind of solving, right? Where obviously this is a tragedy. This is an 11-year-old kid who had his whole life ahead of him, right? Who is now dead because he and some friends who were unsupervised did a really stupid thing. And he was the one who unfortunately paid the price for all of that. And as a result now of that happening, we're supposed to ban one of the most popular social media platforms or like prevent every 16-year-old from getting on it. There's just no way to mass enforce that. The only way to really guarantee that your children aren't seeing stupid shit online is to be as active as you can in their online life. You know, set parameters, set boundaries, set like account boundaries. I don't know why that's not something. People seem to think that like on YouTube and whatnot and all these other websites that like you can't create kids accounts on many of them, or like you can't filter shit. You can't have like increased security. I don't know, man, but ultimately, it just seems like most of the message is right, but it's just not possible to implement this like the way they want it to be done. Realistically, all that can be done is you have to just teach your kids that doing these stupid fucking online challenges is dumb. And realistically, like this challenge here, I mean, it's really just a revolved, watered down version of the same thing that teenagers have been doing for decades with whippets and other bullshit, right? Like, it's sad that that's what kids are apparently posting online now, but that's what happens when so many kids constantly have unfiltered, unadulterated access to the internet, and then they're further left unsupervised when gathered around one another. And like I said, I'm not going to sit here and clown on this kid or be like, oh, Darwinism strikes again, LMAO, Packwatch, you know, like that's unnecessary. But this kid's death was 1,000,000% avoidable, and the avoidance of it could have been started entirely not by banning websites off the internet or banning apps off people's phones, but by the people who are responsible for him being just a little bit more responsible for him. So I don't know, with this whole thing, I just really want to know what happened at this fucking sleepover, whether or not these people are held liable for anything, right? I don't know. It doesn't really seem to mention any of that. So with that being said, though, thank you guys for watching. If you did enjoy, make sure to leave a like. Subscribe if you're brand new around here on the channel. Follow me over on Twitter and Twitch at @SubTheOptimus. Make sure to check out Shoptimus down below. Thank you to my Watch Optimus subscribers. Your support helps the channel tremendously. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, well, talking about the chroming challenge and this tragic situation, and signing out.